here's my idea for the cold open.
Uh-huh.
It's not gonna prompt much of a conversation. It might literally just be me reading this thing off. But I just thought it was funny. I don't know.
Okay.
So I kind of went on a little like Blondie kick a few days ago. They're a band that like I like. I've never like gotten too far or too deep into their catalog, but I like them. Debbie Harry's in Videodrome, so she's cool in my book. um, so I like one of their big songs is called Rapture, which I realized I had heard before when I like listened to the music, but I'd never like really listened to the song. It's probably just like I've heard it played on the radio, and like I didn't even realize it was them. And I guess it's considered like one of, or maybe like the first like chart topping like rap songs. And so I was like, oh, I want to check that out. Like I want to hear like Debbie Harry raps. That's interesting. That's not their normal style. And it is like the most like first rap song shit ever.
Oh, yeah.
Kinda Ed Sheeran-esque.
I'm gonna read some of her bars. It starts with the rapping part starts with Fab Five Freddy told me everybody's fly. DJ spinning, I said my. Go out to the parking lot and you get in your car and drive real far and you drive all night. Then you see a light and it comes right down and it lands on the ground. And out comes a man from Mars, and you try to run, but he's got a gun, and he shoots you dead, and he eats your head. And then you're in the man from Mars. You go out at night eating cars. You eat Cadillacs, Lincolns too, Mercuries, and Subaru, and you don't stop. You keep on eating cars. Then when there's no more cars, you go out at night and eat up bars where the people meet. Face to face, dance cheek to cheek. And then a few more bars later, because the man from Mars is through with cars. He's eating bars, yeah, wall to wall, door to door, hall to hall. And then in a later verse in the song, because the man from Mars stopped eating cars and eating bars, and now he only eats guitars.
Top that.
So, it very, very top that, yes. So, that's it. I just thought that was something that I wanted to bring to light. I didn't know if it was gonna spawn anything other. She
I
also
don't want to talk about that.
she also raps it like exactly how whenever like I do this, especially whenever I'm mocking like early rappers is like I went to the hat store and I got my. She raps exactly like that. She's like, the man from Mars is eating cars and eating bars and eating stars and da da da. It's good. It's pretty good.
There's something about that old school style of rapping.
Yeah, it's something else. The thing is like when she's singing, because like she does like chorus verses that are more like what you would expect from a Blondie song. I really like that stuff, but like oh my god, I can't fucking listen to the rapping part because it's so rough. But like the first half of the song, she's just singing and it sounds really nice.
Oh, okay. It's the first major hip hop hit to use original music rather than sampling.
Oh, okay.
Because Rapper's Delight came out in 1979.
Mm-hmm.
But I think rap has been around. It sounds like it's one of those things where it's hard to nail down where rap originated from, because I feel like there's a lot of underground artists and like. Because like Beastie Boys were putting out like rap in like around that same time, like late 70s or
around
80s.
that same time. Yeah,
there's like some singles. I think it's like that some old bullshit compilation that they have that's got some of that shit.
Yeah,
or maybe no, they're more like punk. I don't know.
Yeah, they kind of like had some
punk
hip hoppy stuff, but it was primarily punk.
Yeah, punk kind of evolved into rap. It like
yeah.
It's like evolution. Like when people say, well, if evolution is the thing, why are there still monkeys? It's like because there was a fork. And one stayed monkey, which is still punk. And then one evolved into human, and that's rap.
Monkeys are punk as fuck.
Oh, that's the last lines of the song. And now he only eats guitars. Get up.
Get up. I like that part, I guess.
What's this man from Mars shit? What is it's like?
I don't fucking know because it's an easy rhyme.
She keeps coming
I literally
back
think
to
that's
it.
what it is.
Sure.
Welcome back. Oh wait.
Welcome back.
Yeah, I'm trying to. This is There Will Be. No, I can't do it. I was trying to. Welcome back to There Will Be Duds. Yep, I'm stuck on trying to rhyme, but I can't. So who am I to criticize Debbie Harry? I guess. I'm your co-host TJ, aka J Spot Jack Cheese, and with me, as always.
As always, I'm Nick, aka Dr. Funk on Twitch, and with me, as always,
I'm Travis, aka the Super General. As always, we are very low energy. That
Yeah,
listening
are.
to that rap just like
It
sucks the
just
room
killed us.
dry out of any energy.
Yeah. And this week we all watched a movie. That movie being Phantasm from 1979, directed by Don Coscarelli. It follows a pair of brothers, Mike and Jody. Mostly Mike. I guess I would say Mike is the main character. As they one of their friends dies. One of Jody and his friend Reggie's friend dies at the beginning, and they visit. There's this really creepy mortuary with a really creepy mortician. Mike sees him do some weird shit, so he like sneaks in, and they find yeah I wrote that part down. Sees some weird shit going on, sneaks into the mortuary and finds a lot more weird shit going on. It's I was gonna say it's just like your typical sort of like 70s, like late 70s, like almost slasher movie, but it's not. There's some bits that make it pretty unique. I'm gonna be honest. It's hard for me to do a synopsis because I started watching this at like 11 last night, and I was already like 10 minutes in, or 10 or 15 minutes in, I was like falling asleep. And not the movie's fault. It's because that's what Friday nights are like for me now with my job. Especially after I was out all day because I went and saw a movie, and I went grocery shopping and stuff. So it was like I didn't just go to work. I had a full day.
mm-hmm.
And I started watching this at roughly like 11 o'clock, and I did not finish it until 4 a.m. And it was literally because, again, I no fault to the movie. I couldn't fucking stay awake for more than like 10 minutes. It was so hard for me. I was sitting up. I was like, okay, I'm not going to put the blanket on. I'm going to sit up, and I would still fall asleep.
Oh my God.
I was dying. And I will say I do think it impacted my enjoyment of the movie.
You just pissed.
I just like shit kept happening. I was like, wait, did I miss something? I don't know if I missed. And then there was one bit where I was like, wait, what? And then I went back and I was like, okay, no, I didn't miss anything there. Okay, I'm not supposed to know this yet, or something like that. This is supposed to be a reveal here. So yeah, I had a very strange viewing experience.
Well, the film itself has like a dreamlike quality to it, so that's perfect.
That's true. Yeah.
Phasing in and out of consciousness.
That is true. So I don't know if that made it like better or worse, because the movie is already very like almost trance-like or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's very weird how it does work that in, because almost on a surface level it does kind of just seem like a generic sort of horror movie, and it's interesting the ways that it does bring in those more surrealistic elements. I would say taking into account my sleepiness, I had a generally positive experience though.
Yeah, I had
I'll let one of you guys
very similar. Yes, thank you for your yes.
I know I was talking for a while there.
I had a very similar watch. Well, not very similar, but similar. I drove all day yesterday. Got home.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, I didn't even think of that. Yeah.
Packed. Like it was like, sleeping in the car. Kelly drove like in the middle of the night, and then we actually pulled over on the side of the road, and I slept for like 20 minutes, and I was like, okay, I can go for another 6 hours. That kind of thing. Got home.
Been there.
It's all rainy yesterday, so Colorado is dry as hell, like 345 days out of the year. So it was just kind of like, I don't know, it added to it, and we were like unpacking and stuff, putting stuff away, and then I was like, oh, I gotta start this movie. It's 10 o'clock. Okay, I got an hour and a half in me. That's cake. 30 minutes in, I pass out. Wake up. How high is halfway through, and I'm like, feel like I've been hit by a train. I'm like, all right, I gotta get up early and watch this fucking movie. And it was just so like, I was like so disinterested in the whole thing. I was just like, it felt like homework. I was just so like tired. I'm still like very tired. I was just like, what's going on? There's Mike from American Movie is in this. Oh shit, no, he dies right away. Oh, that sucks. Okay. Oh wait, no,
you mean Mark?
No, Mike. Right? Mike, the guitar dude.
No,
you're talking about the guy that dies in the first scene.
Yeah,
that's Tommy.
Yeah, Tommy.
He's getting.
I would think he's more like Mark than Mike.
Really? Wait, Mike is
you're
thinking the big guy with the guitar.
Reggie?
No. In American Movie.
Yeah, his buddy.
The buddy, his name is Mike.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I got more Mark.
I'm just saying, looks wise.
We got all these Midwestern boys. We just got a Midwestern boy soup. We got all of them in there. There's Mark, and then there's Tommy, and then there's Jody, and then there's Reggie.
I might have them.
You got an Excel spreadsheet
switched, but
it did kind of.
Mike Shank.
Okay. I mean, to be honest, I didn't think of either of them.
Just like the round face and the mustache and the hair.
Okay, sure. Okay.
I did think reading the cast list on Wikipedia felt like character names from like Fateful Findings or whatever.
Oh, that's funny because that was like one of my last notes. I think I put, you can't convince me Neil Breen wasn't involved in this because it was just, it was so like, I don't know. There's so many things that were just like, okay, this kind of again, and it's very low budget.
Well, if you look at the actors, like all of the actors have pretty much only been in Don Coscarelli movies,
right?
So it's like I think they're like his buds. I think that's part of it. Is like it was low budget, and it was also like amateur actors. Like pretty much everyone in this movie. I guess the only one who's like
go ahead.
The only like actor in this who's like had any sort of like I guess mainstream like fanfare was Angus Scrimm, because like I think the tall man is like kind of like an iconic, sci-fi horror villain in film.
The funeral is about to begin, sir.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I was trying to because yes, it is very low budget. It shows its low budgetness. And I was kind of thinking of this as like Don Coscarelli's Evil Dead.
Mm-hmm.
Like the super low budget, cult classic horror thing. And
there's elements of that too.
Yeah. And I think kind of thinking of it in that way helped me enjoy it more because there were points where mostly in the first half or half hour at least, where I was thinking like, man, this could be in the Dud Cup and it'd be just as valid. Because there's a lot to poke fun at about it.
Oh,
like technically, acting wise.
Absolutely.
But thinking of it as like, okay, this is like an independent, self-financed horror movie from the 70s, you got to give the guy credit. And like maybe it's because I was falling asleep, so like there was just like a transition that wasn't even supposed to be scary. It was just like quiet, and then there was a motorcycle, and I remember literally going like because I was like, I think I was nodding off like at the moment, and it made me go, oh, fuck. So maybe me being half asleep made it more scary to me, but I thought it was pretty scary. There were some effective like spooks, and maybe it's because of, like, the lack of music. You know, you don't really know when somebody's gonna pop up,
right?
Because it doesn't do like
yeah. Well,
that one song was really good. I thought, like the main
theme.
Yeah,
I did too. Yeah,
and what's cool
one
about it
in The Ungrateful Dead.
I was wondering when this is gonna happen, because this, I think you said last week, this is one of the movies that I submitted to the Cup.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and this is one of those movies, along with like a few other handful of movies that like it would be, you know, like a weekend in high school, my dad would be like, "Yeah, you want to come watch this movie?" Like, it was Army of Darkness.
That sounded
really say
dirty.
it like that. Yeah.
Well, there was
come watch this movie.
Hey, you want? Well, you know, it's like,
come in the basement, watch this movie with me.
that's how I watched Army of Darkness for the first time. But
here's
but yeah,
my VHS.
here's my boy. But this is one of those movies that my dad wanted to show me, so like we watched it, and I have this sort of like nostalgia for it, but I haven't seen it since like 2009. It's been a long time since I've seen it. And like watching it again, I was like, I don't remember it being this incomprehensible and weird. like I remember key parts. I remember obviously the part from like The Ungrateful Dead that we just directly ripped off, with like him standing over the kid in the bed, and then the two little guys like get him.
I missed that. I swear I was rewinding, so I thought that I caught everything, but I was looking for that. Is there a part where he's standing over the bed like that?
It's like it's near the beginning. It's like
I wanted to see that.
I think it's like
too. Or
he's not. No,
like
I know the part you're
halfway.
talking about. Yeah.
No, but I think it's after he sees the tall man like lift the casket on his own and like put it in the trunk, and he's like, "Oh, there's something weird about that guy," and then he goes to bed, and then I think he like wakes up, and the tall man is standing over him. He doesn't say "boy" though. We added that to The Ungrateful Dead.
Just to
he
hammer
says it
home
later in the
reference.
movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
He does it.
And then
times.
from my original viewing, I feel like I thought the like metallic spheres were more present, but they only really happen like twice.
I always assumed that too, because that's like the only imagery I like knew from this movie
the
was
orbs.
tall man and then the orbs. Yeah,
which are never really fully explained, but I think that's also
really.
because, you know, it was all a dream. There we go. We're circling back to
It was all a dream.
old school hip hop.
yeah.
But yeah, I have a bit of nostalgia for it, and I think for the most part it's still intact. But I think watching it, I guess more as a seasoned movie viewer, I was like, oh, this is way weirder than I thought. And this is like another, like, you know, watching movies with my dad. My dad has good taste, I want to say, but in terms of like, trying to understand themes and ideas, he's a little lacking in that department. He likes war movies. He likes like westerns. So for him, this is like, that's weird. Like Eraserhead, which like we discussed Eraserhead, and like, oh, what are all these themes and ideas, and what's like David Lynch trying to say about, you know, childhood and adulthood and like giving birth. And my dad is just like, it's funny because it's weird, and like and it's like that's like, he's like, I'm gonna show you this movie because it's weird.
Really then, putting your dad on blast here.
Yeah, a little bit. If that fool can figure out how to use like YouTube or Twitch or a podcast app, more power to him.
There's a lot of stuff that he's gonna find and just be
there's so many barriers. I showed them Wendy's the other day, which like I had to get like the YouTube app on their TV, And like we're watching it. My dad did not understand a single thing. Didn't get it at all.
Yeah.
And he's like, wait, so someone out there in the world could type that into YouTube and watch it? It's on there? Like,
What?
yep, sure is. And then he's like, oh, I feel like he has like YouTube object permanence. Like if you can't see it, like, but
Like
he's
YouTube
like,
is just, it's like what you, like a tweet, like, oh, it's a tweet, it's a YouTube,
Yeah.
it's just on there one time and then it's gone.
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, my first note is it's a graveyard smash. Because it literally starts with Tommy just getting some of that graveyard pussy, and then he.
Oh, that okay. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean Mike from American Movie.
Yes, Mike from American Movie.
Oh, yeah, mine was, that was great. And that guy, he says that was great, and he was just basically laying there doing nothing.
Yeah.
And she was kind of just doing nothing. I'm like, oh wow, this is where like white people get a bad rap from. It's like this kind of shit, like horror movies where they're just not doing anything because it's the main focus is the killer or whatever, the scary part of it, and then. Oh, that was great. Okay, bud.
It's our 5-second film. Let's do that again.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also noted great opening scene. I like the whole kind of opening, like
great.
the title. Well, I mean, it was like not
He
great
says
in
that
the way
was
that
great.
I think it was great, not in the same way that I think the opening scene in Amadeus is great or whatever. You know? Like, there's a difference, but I would still say great.
Oh yeah,
scene.
I guess since you bring that up, we should probably do a boob comparison chat at some point too, right?
Oh.
I mean, you
These,
brought up Amadeus.
Yeah, I was gonna.
So.
These are weird. I definitely prefer my 80s puffy nips to these like
Oh yeah.
bumpy.
Yeah, there was something. There's probably some
don't even
fakeness
know.
to them. I think.
that
Maybe.
yeah,
enhanced.
that film grain was just like,
Yeah.
these low budget nips are they don't hit as hard.
Yeah.
But at least you don't have to access a special fucking version
right. Right.
to see them.
I mean, yeah, we're Dutch, so I'm pro like cheap titties. That's my thing. I don't care how
Yeah.
great they look if they're free.
Yeah.
I also like that this lady is just credited as Lady in Lavender, apparently.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's very
Like
David
Lady in the Radiator.
David Lynch.
Yeah.
The lady in the radiator. Also, she like stabs him, right?
Yeah.
She like
right.
stabs him,
She
and
shows her with a knife.
He, technically, but yeah.
yeah, is like is the tall man.
Yeah, and can we talk about that? He's not even really that tall. I mean, if you're gonna call him the tall man, he should be like
Tall-ish man.
yeah, vaguely tall, like taller than average man. He's like 6. He's like 6'2".
I think from what I read, he's 6'4", but I did read that
Okay.
he wore clothes that were like one size smaller.
Okay.
So like it gave the appearance of him like being
okay.
taller. Apparently,
I mean,
Okay.
6'4", the dude's not even starting in the NBA. Like he's maybe like a bench
6'4".
player. So
Wow. Yeah.
I'm just kind of blown away that like they think it's a suicide when it's like,
he's stabbed.
Oh. That's
yeah,
what-
like I don't know, stabbing yourself to
Harakiri.
death is so hard.
In the stomach too.
Yeah, like, yeah,
Yeah, you gotta really hate yourself because like people say that like
Yeah.
getting like stabbed or shot in the gut is like one of the most painful. Like
Yeah, because it takes a
places.
long time.
Well,
yeah.
it takes a long time, but also I guess just like I don't know, because all your shit's in there, so
Except-
it hurts.
Yeah, literal shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, they really Neil Breen the death scenes. Like there's a few people who get stabbed in the gut and they die in 3 seconds. They just enough time to look down and see the wound, and then now I'm dead.
Yeah.
yeah. I called Reggie Ponytail Biden for some reason. He looked like
Yeah,
he looked.
I think that
this
like
this guy's supposed to be like the same age as Jody. Like what the
Yeah.
fuck?
uh,
Hair, holy
yeah,
shit.
the shaved head ponytail look. That's like big time goals. Like our grandpa actually used to have that setup, and it was like
Yeah.
I don't know. I always thought that he was like super hippie because of that. Like I thought he was just like a globe trotting, like backpacking across America type
Yeah.
dude, but he's not. He's like straight laced
Interesting.
military guy. But yeah, it's a good look. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah,
He had-
Reggie.
he-
I like Reggie.
yeah, I did like him. It was definitely a look. But yeah, I did like the character.
He's an ice cream guy.
Yeah, yeah.
I love how that was like his concern when they find like the weird hooded figure. He's like, "Is it gonna get all over my ice cream?"
So I'm interested because like I was getting that it was trippy. It was kind of like not super normal in how I was telling the story, like but because I was just constant, and Khalees said that to me when I told her about like how long it took me last night. She's like, you should have just watched this morning, and I was like, yeah, I probably should have. Like that would make a lot more sense. I should have just done that. But because of how I was watching it, I like had the Wikipedia article open a lot because I was just like I was checking to make sure I didn't miss anything. Basically, like I would rewind, and then if I was still a little confused, I would just basically read the plot synopsis up to that point. So because of that, I knew exactly what was happening the whole time. But I wonder, Travis, was it like, since you're the only one who hasn't seen it before or presumably didn't read the Wikipedia synopsis along the way, did it like make sense what was going on the whole time, or was it
No.
like confusing? Or no, it didn't. Oh, okay.
No, I was also like
So that might have changed my experience.
just
too.
powering through it. I wasn't like, man, this is an interesting story. I'm gonna really try to delve deep into what's going on. It was just like I just kept it surface level. Like, okay, there was the funeral thing, then there was the Dune scene with the old lady and the pain box. Where he sticks
Oh,
his
I thought
hand
that too. The Gom Jabbar. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
And
thought of
then-
that too.
Hey, but what's in it? Hey, this thing really hurts.
Don't fear, Michael.
I can't get my hand out.
Don't fear.
Give me back my hand.
Don't fear. It was simply reflection. Fear is the killer. That's what grandmother wants you to learn.
And then like there's the tall man and he's being like haunted, and it was like almost like a Freddy Krueger movie. But with
Especially
just
at
one
the end.
kid. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was just like, okay. Yeah, it's
I called her.
Also,
really
the
bad.
Brood. The Brood.
Yeah.
I yeah.
kinda-
Brood vibes.
Yeah.
I called
Yeah,
her
they
Grandma
shrunk
Ozzy Osbourne. Because that's what she looked like to
Because of the
me.
glasses. Yeah.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
because I feel like that shit. I don't know why that was in the movie. Not that it was necessarily like bad, but it didn't really seem to like add much to it. Like he has to stick it. Maybe is that supposed to be like near the end when he goes through like that dimensional rift to like the other planet where like the
Oh yeah.
little robed guys are like slave or something, like they're slaves. But
That
I
that
thought
made me think of Subrosia from Oracle of Seasons. If you guys have played that one, it's the one where like all the hooded people, they kind of look like Jawas.
Yeah, I was gonna
but
say
it's
Jawa.
all
oh
like a-
okay, yeah,
They're
okay.
they're like little short people with like hoods, and it's like a parallel like world to Hyrule, but it's all red and volcanic and stuff. It looked
Yeah.
like that's what that world in Phantasm looked like.
I played that so long ago, I can't remember any of that.
And then he stuck his hand into that box. He's like, you just got to relax. I was like, yeah, you just got to sit on your hand long enough, and then it'll feel like a different person.
Yeah.
And then the little my other note is like I think this is how Ween was formed, and it was like the sequence where like he's like sitting on his porch playing guitar, and then so Jody's playing guitar, and then Reggie pulls up and just like pulls out his guitar, and they just like are we supposed to think that that's a song that they just improvised, or it's like a song that they knew? Because Reggie sits down and he's like, yeah, okay, and then they just both just like they shred. They're actually pretty good. It's a pretty decent song.
We're hot as love, you know.
But it sounded like Ween.
Yeah, I remember liking that song, Yeah, I wonder, I didn't see who did the music, but it did seem like one of those where, like, maybe
Again,
either Don is, like, does music too, or just, like, one of his, like, close friends is, like, a music guy. And I don't know. It did seem like, I don't know, it had pretty solid music. I do think the main theme was, like, played a lot. But
it was.
Well, that's because it was the only song they had.
But it was
Besides,
a
like,
good
the band.
Did you catch it in the bar?
in the bar.
When Mike, it's Mike, right? Tommy,
The
what's
little
his
kid.
name? Mike, Mike Pearson.
Yeah.
When he's following Jody around, when he's at the bar and he drinks 1/4 of a beer and then is like, yeah, let's go back to my place. But if you listen to like the disco funk music or whatever that's playing in the bar, you can hear the bum 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 bum. They do it like
cool.
once, so it's like it's all that main theme is like peppered in all of like the score, even if it's like not playing like the main theme.
That's
Which
neat.
reminded me of like what is it, Tubular Bells from like The Exorcist. It kind of had that sort of. It's like a prog rock.
Is that like the main theme in that one? Or?
Yeah.
Okay.
It
does kind of. Yeah.
It has
kind
that
of an Exorcist feel.
or like Halloween. I guess it's like kind of in that same vein.
Mm-hmm.
But this is like, but what if Emerson, Lake and Palmer did the soundtrack?
It fits in with like a lot of it's not as well known as those other ones, but it's a pretty like it's a pretty classic horror movie theme. I think it's pretty solid.
This movie is just about prog rock guys because Reggie, like the balding ponytail ice cream truck driver, that is like the most prog rock like caricature of a person like depicted in film.
Yeah.
All the Rush fans watched this and they were like, I feel seen.
I kept picturing, I think just because like how like small the kid looked and like what he was wearing when the kid was riding the motorcycle like through the graveyard.
Yeah.
I was thinking of fucking Paul Rudd in Wet Hot American Summer.
Oh
when
shit.
he drives in and then he
Just
jumps off the back of it and just the fucking motorcycle just like oh shit. And I was like, I just kept picturing him doing that and just sending the motorcycle into a fucking gravestone.
Yeah. Man, that's a great fucking movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was giving me like, I mean, I know he was supposed to be his younger brother, but it was really like Dazed and Confused, where it's like Matthew McConaughey, who's supposed to be out of high school in that movie, but barely.
Yeah.
There's like people in it who look like they're 30, and then the young kids are like 12.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, this kid's driving, okay, and then so the other kid's supposed to be like a couple years older than him. It just doesn't. I don't know. It was like, I don't know. It was like, oh, we need a kid for this movie. Oh, well, let's get Isaiah because that's the only kid we have, and then he's like not the right age.
Yeah.
Or he actually probably was. It was the other people who weren't.
I also put down when he was spying on the tall man in the cemetery, and then he was like, oh, he like puts his binoculars down quick. He's like, okay, he didn't see me. okay, let me escape on my fucking motorcycle.
Yeah, the most subtle way to drive around in a graveyard.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the tall man seems to Dylan from Fateful Findings Mike off the bike, because he does like a there's like a shot.
Yeah.
There's a shot where he like looks over and then he like bails on the motorcycle. It's like when
took
Dylan
it as if he didn't have
Dylan
control of it.
Oh, I mean maybe, but the shot, it does a deliberate cut to the tall man looking over.
No,
much
that's what I mean.
like
It's the kid didn't have control. The tall man had control.
Oh, okay.
That's
yeah.
how he
Oh,
kind
okay, I
of
see what you're saying.
bails. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Much like
yeah.
how Dylan deflects the sniper's bullet back to him at the end of Fateful Findings.
Yeah, because it's sort of established like when Mike gets into the graveyard on the motorcycle, it kind of stops and he has to try to kick it back up and get it going again, and he's like kind of struggling with it. So it's like, I guess I read that as like sort of establishing that like this is a weird like space where things don't work properly, because he's like he's having trouble, like his motorcycle just stops. He's like, this is weird. Yeah, I feel like Don Coscarelli had permission to shoot at like 2 locations for this movie.
Yeah.
Because there's I don't know, it's obviously low budget, but I think I was a little like, I wasn't as tired as you guys, but I was definitely sitting there and like, oh, they're gonna go to the graveyard and then they're gonna leave,
Yeah.
and then they're gonna go back to the graveyard, and then they're gonna
yeah.
leave, and then they're gonna go back to the graveyard, and then they're gonna leave. I was
Yeah.
like, okay, all right, I got you, dude. Go to the bar
Going to the
like
house.
twice.
At least the mortuary itself, the interior was
That's true. That's
pretty visually like interesting. Like it wasn't just like a house, you know.
Yeah.
I wanted to get around to that because that was my favorite sequence of the movie. I think was about a half hour in or something, where Mike like first really goes into the mortuary, and he kind of gets the first like glimpse of all the weird shit that's going on. I really like that because it was creepy. I was creeped out, and also just like the fact that it kept adding more shit that was going on. It's like, oh, now there's little hooded people that are like, chasing him down. Now there's this fucking ball that flies around and kills people, and
I wasn't sure who that dude
he, like,
was. Like on here, it says he's like a gravekeeper, like an assistant to the tall man. But then it's like, why would the tall man just kill him? Or like, do the orbs have a mind of their own?
wasn't it going for Mike, and then he got out of the way?
Oh, maybe that's what
and
happened.
then it killed that guy, I think that was what was happening.
Possible.
Yeah, that was great. That kill was awesome. I love
It
that.
like sucked all his brain juice out, and okay.
Yeah. It had that, like, when you see it, like, drill in, you could see that, like, the skin was, like an effect, but
Oh yeah.
it's that old kind of effect that, like, almost makes it more gross.
It's
Just because
like,
of how, like, weird it looks.
it makes me think of like Dawn of the Dead, like the zombies in that one. Like the zombies would get clipped, and it was like almost like that putty, like that fleshy putty style shit.
Yeah.
Like this, like because so like he runs away from the tall man and like slams his hand in the door. And then I thought it was a pretty good visual gag of like the hand being like tapping on the door, like and then he just cuts the fingers off, and it's just shoots yellow goo, and it's like that same prosthetic that they like everybody used in the 70s at the time.
Yeah. That was another bit in there that got like, got a reaction out of me, at the very least. I wrote down I like the line, warning shots are bullshit. That was good. Because it was like, if you're gonna aim a gun at somebody, make sure you mean it. Or if you're gonna aim a gun, aim it at someone you mean to, and if you mean to aim it at somebody, make sure it's, or no, if you want to shoot somebody, make sure you shoot to kill. I think that's it or something.
Now remember, you don't aim a gun at a man unless you intend to shoot him. And you don't shoot a man unless you intend to kill him. No warning shots, man. Hey, you listening to me?
Yeah.
No warning shots. Warning shots are bullshit. You shoot to kill, or you don't shoot at all.
Yeah, some solid parenting advice from Jody.
Yeah. Another thing that I don't know if you got it from this movie, I always just assumed it was because you didn't want your parents to know that you swore. But every time that, like, these guys would go, "Oh, you kidding me? That mother is crazy."
Oh,
because you would always say that instead of saying the whole word.
I think that was like a Zappaism too.
Oh,
probably because like the mothers, whatever. Yeah, I did. That's weird that you also thought about that. I thought no one else.
Really?
Oh man, you put me on blast here. I'll still see Facebook memories where I use that. It might be from this movie too, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, it's one where like I could fully understand how this or like how or why this could be, somebody like, this is one of my favorite horror movies.
Mm-hmm.
Like, especially if you have that nostalgia for it. And I wouldn't even say that The Evil Dead is like one of my favorite horror movies. Evil Dead is more of like a historical artifact for me, I think. Where it's an interesting watch, but it's almost more like, and I don't know if I'm like as interested in like the behind the scenes of this, but I love reading about like or hearing about the making of The Evil Dead. But yeah, I don't know. There's like a lot of charm in the low budget, like an earnest low budget horror movie like this. That I can appreciate even if the whole movie didn't work for me.
Yeah, and I think it is also helped by the fact that I think Don Coscarelli actually had like a career after this movie. I mean, obviously, like there was like a Phantasm that came out in 2016. Like there's like four of them, and it's like the last appearance of Angus Scrimm before he was like 89. 5. Is there 5? Okay.
Yeah.
He's like 89 and made Phantasm 5 and then like died. Mm-hmm. So like, that, but also like Don Coscarelli did Bubba Hotep with Bruce Campbell, and he did the John Dies at the End movie. So it's like he's like a competent director, albeit I think a lot of his movies tend to have that sort of weird dreamlike screwball weirdness to them. Like obviously like you and I are familiar with the John Dies. Have you seen the John Dies at the End movie?
Me?
Yeah,
of course.
Okay.
Yeah, I saw it like when it came out.
I'd realized I don't think we've ever talked about the movie. I really don't like it.
The John Dies at the End movie?
Yeah, I don't. I try not to do this with, I say all the time, there's like, movies and books are different, right?
Yeah.
As a movie, I just don't like it. Yeah, I know, right? I don't know. I think that the conversations or that opinion is more reserved for people who just watch or just read like Harry Potter, and they're like, man, they didn't include every single scene in the book and the movies. But yeah, as a movie, I just like don't like it. As an adaptation of the book John Dies at the End, I hate it. So yeah, that's my opinion on that.
It's a hard book to adapt. I feel like it's because it's so insane. Mm-hmm. I haven't seen Bubba Hotep in a while, but I remember liking Bubba Hotep.
I like Bubba Hotep, yeah.
That's because it's Bruce Campbell doing an Elvis impersonation.
Yeah, and then Ossie Davis as JFK.
But my original point is like I think Don Coscarelli. It helps that like Don Coscarelli is like a competent filmmaker because I feel like I do feel like it kind of teeters on that line because like when you do low budget movies from this time period, I feel like all it takes is like one or two things to go wrong for it to be like featured on Best of the Worst or something like that. Like there's just like there's a very like there's a line you have to toe, and I feel like this movie toes it pretty well to the point where it's like it has
right
those
there,
like
yeah.
those like schlocky B movie elements with like, oh, that was great, like, and it's like
Yeah.
the boob reveals that are like, oh yeah, okay, this is what you're here for.
Yeah.
But I think on the whole, it differentiates itself, especially with the ending of it, which was weirdly touching to me.
Just with Reggie and Mike, like after he wakes up and then it's his brother's dead instead of Reggie or whatever.
I think Mike wakes up from like this dream, and Reggie's like Jody died in a car wreck a year ago, like,
Yeah.
and so it's almost like the phrase trauma response is in my head, and I hate myself for it because Phantasm is actually a trauma response, but it kind of puts this weird perspective, on the movie where you watch everything that happened before, and it's sort of like this thing about like adolescence and having an older brother, and like, yeah, it's weird, but it's like he gets to hang out with his brother and like shoot guns and like see tits, so it's like. It's all the stuff that he can't do because his brother's actually dead. So even though it's like kind of a nightmare, it's like fun and action packed, and he gets to like, drive a car. He gets to do all this cool shit that he can't do. And it's like, oh, and then Reggie's like, I'm your dad now. I'll take care of you.
Yeah. Yeah, I was like, I'm interested in what the sequels are about because Mike and Reggie are in every single movie.
Yeah.
I guess like it's kind of surprising because like a lot of horror franchises, they switch up the main cast every time so that they can kill a new group of people.
Right.
Yeah, they might have like one holdover or something.
Right, like Nightmare on Elm Street brings back Nancy a couple times, but other than that, it's like different people every time.
Yeah. Usually the baddie is the one that stays. Like Robert Englund is in all the nightmares for the most part.
Yeah, of course,
then,
the bad guy.
Oh, yeah.
Angus Scrimm as the tall man is in all of these. And actually, I was reading about it. The only one that Mike is not in is Phantasm 2. They recast him with somebody else, and apparently like the fan response was overwhelmingly negative because they recast him, and I think he's in every single one after that.
Okay, there's still a Mike character though.
Yeah,
it's just the actor. Okay, gotcha.
Yep.
Okay,
A. Michael Baldwin.
Yeah. Yeah. So I like in that sense, I was really confused about the. Like when Reggie died, and then so the ending, I'm not sure. Like, I don't know, because I guess I was waiting. I was like, okay, so is his brother's gonna die? Because I don't know if he's in any of the sequels or whatever. And then Reggie died, and then it was like, no, actually, your brother died. It was very
yeah.
weird.
I think up until when he wakes up with Reggie. I think up until that, everything is like a dream.
Okay. Okay. Huh.
Because when he wakes up, Reggie's like, Jody died in a car accident a year ago.
Yeah.
So I don't necessarily think it's like a flashback. I think this is all. The whole thing is like a dream sequence up until he wakes up, which I feel like a lot of the times is kind of a cop out in movies. I'm not necessarily a fan of that because it's like, okay, well then none of that mattered at all. Like obviously it mattered to Mike because like it's his trauma response from like losing his entire family basically.
Yeah.
But then it's like the tall man is kind of a Freddy Krueger because at the very end, like he closes his door and they do that classic horror trope where he shuts the door and then you see the bad guy in the reflection in the mirror and then he like gets sucked through it. So it's like It's actually
real. It's actually like exactly like how the first Nightmare on Elm Street ends.
Yeah.
And this came first, so.
Yeah. So I feel like maybe this movie walked so a lot of other movies could fly. Like I wouldn't be surprised if, either Sam Raimi or Wes Craven saw.
Who?
Yeah.
That reminds
Wes
me.
Craven.
Okay,
Sam Raimi.
on the way home yesterday, we were just like the west side of Grand Rapids. We're like right by the castle, the apartment complex.
Oh God, yeah.
There was a billboard, and I can't remember what it was for, but it just said "Who's nuts?" and then it said "D's nuts." I'm not even kidding. And it was, I guess it was for some kind of like nuts product, but yeah, it was like that's for one, that's not how you do that. That's not how D's nuts works, but okay.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Oh, here it is. I found Who's Nuts? D's Nuts. All new nuts by MKX. I don't know what it is, but
Oh. That's leaning into it a little bit hard. For
yeah,
my taste.
I'll share it to the.
That's awesome.
Anyways,
To the movie club.
yeah, I'm sending it in Discord right now.
Oh, okay.
Except it's in a. Okay.
You made me
yeah, no,
download it. Oh, there
yeah,
it is.
no,
Who's
Awesome.
nuts? D's nuts.
yeah, maybe it's that, but yeah.
It is funny that you mentioned like David Lynch earlier, though, because I do say this. I was thinking like this is kind of like a low budget, like Lynchian movie, especially with like how weird and incomprehensible some of the stuff is, and like the whole like unreliableness of dreams and what they mean. I don't think it's as deep as those films, but elements of it.
It's interesting because like if you do read the plot synopsis on Wikipedia, it pretty much is just saying everything that happens, but like it's like when you read it, I'm like, okay, yeah, I remember that part in the movie, and it does just kind of like make sense, I guess. Like it seems like a lot of like what is happening is pretty straightforward as to like this is what's actually like going on. It's just the way that the movie presents it makes it seem a little like more confusing, but the one okay, it doesn't say it in this, but on Google, maybe this is something that's more more developed in like the sequels, but apparently it says that like the tall man is like an alien, I guess.
Okay. Sure.
And so maybe that's like at the end of the movie when like the mortuary disappears. It's like the Frankenfurter's house like flying up into space at the end of a Rocky Horror Picture Show, because that's like supposed to be a spaceship.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah. Is he from that like the red planet where all the little dwarves are like slaves to him? Then, or like
Yeah,
maybe.
he's from Tatooine.
He's the man from Mars.
he's the man from Mars.
I literally didn't even think of that until just now.
And he targeted Reggie and Jody, who played guitars and drove in their cars.
Yeah, that's true. And they went to bars.
They went to
Or
bars.
at least a bar. Oh, okay. Well, now the thing is saying that he's I don't know, whatever. This is saying that he's a person, but he's like undead or whatever. I don't fucking know.
I don't
His
think it really
research-
matters that too much.
Probably not.
It kind of had the vibe to me of like almost like kind of like we said Neil Breen-esque, where it's like almost like they had an idea for like a few things, and then they're like, okay, we have to like stitch this together with a story somehow. We'll do that part later as we're shooting it, basically. If I will say that it kind of gave me like David Lynch, if David Lynch had made The Blob, like kind of like with the effects, I guess, and just kind of like the cheesiness of it, but also like the abstract
Okay.
random shit that happened. Yeah.
I'm liking that movie that you're describing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like
Real.
David Lynch turned down a notch and then just like, because some of the effects were bad, but they were like bad entertaining in like the Blob sense. Like when they get the metal orb thing in his face, and it's just like there's a hole on the bottom of it, and it's just like spraying blood, and it's like, okay, obviously that's just a thing that has blood in it, and it sprays blood out.
Shooting
And
out
then-
like a super soaker.
Right. And then there was the thing where he put the, like, just like one of the most classic horror movie things where they just like, they're like, oh, I have to be resourceful. And he takes a hammer and he like duct tapes a shotgun shell to it. It's like, okay, yeah, this is a horror movie we're watching now.
I forgot about that.
It's very like Evil Dead. And then he just like hits it. I mean, it could probably work in some sense, but like
It blows up like a grenade.
yeah, he hits the
Yeah.
door and it like explodes or whatever, and you see this smoke and shit, but nothing happens to the door. There's no hole, there's nothing in the door, and the smoke like fades, and then it cuts to the reverse, and then there's a hole in the door, and he sticks his hand through. It's like cool.
Which I
Also,
was like-
doors don't lock from the outside.
Which I was like, at that. Well, he put the screwdriver in, so I guess it's fine.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
But I was like, with the size of the hole in the door, you probably just could have used the hammer, huh? You could have just
Right.
used the,
For real.
You probably just could
But
have
it's-
smashed it.
but that's like that little kid logic, I think.
Yeah.
Which it's like, yeah, I remember. Did you guys ever buy cap guns? Do you remember
Oh, yeah.
cap guns?
Oh yeah.
Because like they had like the ones that like they kind of loaded in like bullets, but then they had ones that are like the little strips.
Yeah.
And we would we would just buy the refills, and then we take like the entire like roll of like the strips, just put it on the garage floor, and take a hammer and just hit it all at just explode all the caps at once. And I was like, that's what it
funny.
reminded me of.
That's funny because like I always wondered why like you'd go to the dollar store, and they'd have like the little revolver ones. I always remember
Yeah.
the revolver ones, and they'd have like the
Uh-huh.
refills were just like it was a strip of 6, and it seems like you'd always buy. Oh yeah, I want a cap gun. Yeah, those are cool. They make a noise and whatever. You can reload them, and they come with like 10 of those strips, and then they'd have like the refill packs at the dollar store. And I always wondered like who bought those because like we never did. We'd always get a cap gun and we'd use those up, and then like the cap, the guns would be lost, and we'd be like, okay, I guess we can't. Like we'd never go back for refills. We'd just buy a whole new gun.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Yep.
It is wild to think that cap guns were like a thing, because like I feel like now that's absolutely
yeah.
not.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
sure.
Because we used to we'd run around outside with them and just bang, and like they smoke, like they
Yeah.
it's not as loud as like a real gunshot, but in every other respect, it's a loud bang. You got smoke coming out of it, like it's pretty damn real. Some of the ones that I would buy, like I think some of them were like eventually like kind of cheaper plastic, but I remember like one that we bought one year that was like it was like metal. It like had some girth to it.
Yeah, yeah, and they were like black, but they had like the little orange tip, so it's like, oh, it's safe. Like,
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
it's not a
We
real
just
gun.
Sharpie
people.
over that, anyways.
Yeah,
You can okay. You can still buy them on Amazon.
Oh, okay.
Best gift idea: birthday, holiday, or anything in between. This.
Okay.
Yeah.
I believe you.
Oh man.
Are you guys good to move on to scores?
Yes.
Yeah.
Or okay.
I was good at the beginning of this.
All right. Who wants to start?
I'll start since I guess it was one that I suggested to the cup.
Sure.
Yeah, I didn't have as weird a sleep deprived experience as you guys did. So, but I did have that built-in nostalgia. Like obviously, we referenced it in one of our films, our own low-budget films. So it must have been, had some sort of worth to it because we thought it was important enough to reference. But I think watching it on the second viewing in like a decade, I think some of the nostalgia wears off a little bit. Like I said, it kind of felt like a slog in the middle, where it was like, go home, go to the graveyard, go home, go to the graveyard. I feel like they repeated scenes a few times, and I was like, but it's like, it's already a tight 90. What are they gonna do? Make it a tight 70? Like, make it an episode of TV basically. But I think what holds up is the charm, the weirdness, the low budgetness, the acting that's like, it's not great, but I feel like the Tall Man is like a pretty iconic like horror villain. The practical like effects, like you said, are like very of their time, but again, I kind of like that Dawn of the Dead, the Blob, that era of practical effects. So and the soundtrack slaps. That song is so good. And like the different versions of it, where it's like kind of just the main theme, and then like the organ kind of comes in, and then by the end it's like the full band doing the whole theme is pretty great. Oh, I think realistically though, I think I'm sitting at a 6 for me. Probably lower than what I made it sound like I was just talking about, but yeah, okay, it's pretty good.
I'll go. I'm also 6. That's what I'm thinking too. It's like like a good 6 though. I don't know. Like like I said, there's a lot of stuff to make fun of. I'm not taking any of that back or anything. But I mostly had fun. I think like the first half hour was like the worst bit. I was really like, that was where I kind of felt which is funny because that was the beginning, so I should have felt this the least there, but that's where it felt like the most just like repetitive and slow to me. But then once Mike goes to the mortuary and you get that first like all that stuff going down, I was mostly into it after that. I thought it was fun, all the different. I could see somebody seeing this and having the complete opposite reaction of like, wow, which like we were just kind of talking about, like they had like a bunch of different ideas to put in a horror movie and just cram them all in it. But I kind of liked it. I liked, because it just kind of like everything, it just kept like ratcheting up like the nuttiness of it. And yeah, it had like a nice little core trio of characters. Like they, not like super deep characters or anything, but they were like fun to follow. If like the movie as a whole wasn't necessarily easy to follow. But yeah, it was. I thought at first, like if it was that first half hour, I was pretty low. I was like, it was like 3 or 4. Like I was just like, oh my god, this is awful. but then it brought it up a bit. So yeah, 6. I figured I came away from it positive, so I'll go above a 5. So 6. That's how numbers work.
Well, I didn't know that Nick had added this to the cup.
Otherwise, you would have thought it
now
was better.
Now that I do, I think I'm gonna start calling him the Homelander, because this movie's fucking boring and it sucks. I don't like it.
Because he did this in Bedeviled or something.
Yeah, he just adds bad movies to the cup. That's his thing. Yeah, I just thought it was boring. Again, I'm slightly biased by being tired and like somewhat hallucinating from sleep deprivation. But I just thought it was boring and incoherent, and some of the effects were cool, and the music was like good, and that's about it. So I'm gonna say a 4.
Oh, okay.
So it's not terrible, but not a good way to like wrap up my vacation, I guess. To come home to this.
Yeah,
I was like, man, that was a good trip. We were talking on the way back, like that was like the perfect length. It was like we're like, yeah, it's time to go home. We're good. And then I want to go back.
I need to bring you down a few pegs.
Yeah. It's like just snap back to reality if we're going back to rap.
Speaking of having to go back, here's an ad break because it's like a reference to like an old video that we did.
I
So
really
it's
hope
going
we've
back.
already cut at this point.
I'm thinking we're back.
I'm thinking we're back.
Okay.
I'm curious what the second note means on the Google Drive.
Our flag means death.
Is that a show that you watched, or are you like saying something about our brand?
No, yeah, it's a show on HBO. It's another like Taika Waititi show.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I think he's like one of the creators or co-creators or whatever. Reese Darby is the main character. It's not like mockumentary style, but it's it's like one of those kind of like What We Do in the Shadows or like adjacent shows. They have another one on HBO called Wellington Paranormal that it's like a cops show about. Have you seen What We Do in the Shadows, Nick?
Yeah.
So you know the two cops that show up like in the middle of the movie, and they're like, it's after like one of them dies because like a vampire hunter shows up, and Peter, the old vampire, dies, and then like two cops show up and they're like, oh yeah, we got some calls of noise complaints, so we're just gonna like check it out, and then Taika Waititi like hypnotizes them, so like, you know, he's like, you won't see anything strange. So then like they go down into the basement and there's like the vampire hunter with like his neck snapped, and then like Peter with his burned body and like the whole scene, it's a fucking great scene because they're like hang on, what's this, and they'll like point like right next to the dead body and there's like a musical sting like shing, and they're like that's a water can right next to an electrical circuit. That's a fire hazard. And they're like, and like it does that like so much during the scene that like it's like it almost does it like too much, but that kind of like adds to the feeling like, hey, what's that? But anyways, there's an HBO show about those cops like done in like the style of cops, but this is more, it's not mockumentary style. Anyways, it's about Stede Bonnet, the gentleman pirate who was a real person, and he's this dude who was kind of a rich boy from England, I think, or New Zealand, because he just does his regular accent, but they kind of just let anybody just do their regular accent, so it might just be, you know, they could be from England, but he's doing a New Zealand accent. But he's just kind of like this rich boy who just kind of up and left his life as a well-off person to become a pirate, but he still kind of like held sort of aristocratic, gentlemanly ways, I guess. So he was known as the gentleman pirate. So it follows him and his crew as they meet up with Blackbeard. Which, again, I totally thought was just made up for the show, but this guy actually did like meet and know Blackbeard on like a few occasions. And Blackbeard is played by Taika Waititi, who's pretty good. Okay. He's not like, it is a comedy, and like he's not always serious, but like Blackbeard is like, you know, a pretty like dark. He kills people, you know. He's serious a lot of time. It's like different than I guess you see Taika Waititi play a lot, and he's pretty good. But it's also like primarily a comedy, like for sure. It is a sitcom. But I liked it a lot. It's actually for some reason I had it in my head that the season was only 8 episodes, but it was 10. So we got to the end of episode 8, and it seemed like it could have been the ending. And I actually think I like it more than the actual ending. The actual ending is kind of setting it up for future seasons, whereas the end of episode 8, I feel like, was a point where like it could have continued, or that could have been the end of the show, and it would have been just fine.
Right.
Oddly enough, because there were still 2 more episodes in the season. But yeah, a lot of like great cameos. Fred Armisen is in it, and it's funny because he's playing like kind of a sleazy, backstabbing, piratey character, but like played just like how he would play any other Fred Armisen character. Will Arnett shows up in an episode as like one of Blackbeard's old friends, and it's played kind of like an episode you'd see in a movie or like a show about like a romance triangle or whatever, where he's like back and then Steed is jealous because they're like he's better friends with Blackbeard than he is, and he's like, I don't like you when you're with him. You're not my Ed or whatever. And but yeah, it was good. It was actually a lot better than I thought it would be. I honestly just checked it out because it was those guys, but from the trailer I didn't see a lot of promise, but I ended up liking it quite a bit. So check it out. It's short, it's half-hour episodes, 10 episodes, so it's pretty quick watch.
Digestible.
Yeah, pretty good cast too. I like all the pirates. There's a few like Game of Thrones vets. There's that dude from Chernobyl who was also like one of the police captain guys in the Batman.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? It's kind of this smoky voice.
Yeah,
he's like Blackbeard's like right-hand man.
I don't, because I still haven't watched the
Still
Batman.
haven't watched it. You goddamn it.
I still haven't watched the Batman.
Or Chernobyl.
I've seen. I mean, I watched
suck.
Chernobyl like 2 years ago, and it was like the first 2 episodes.
You just suck.
I do.
Come on,
Yeah,
Homelander. Watch some good shit.
I'm gonna go watch Phantasm again. That's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go to a graveyard and get my dick sucked.
Yeah. Okay? So, I didn't put. Yeah. I don't. Have you guys heard of? We watched
High and Low.
this. Yeah.
That's I do want to. We can talk about this first, but I did want to get at least like a quick take on what you thought of High and Low. But you do what you were gonna say first.
We watched this like on our phones the whole like intermittently throughout our
phone?
trip. It's called what?
Get real.
It's called The Woman in the House Across from the Street from the Girl in the Window with Kristen Bell.
I watched the trailer.
It's like it's okay. It was fun to watch, I guess. It was like pretty short. I think there's like 8 episodes, and again they're like 20-30 minutes.
Is it a comedy or is it a thriller? It's a comedy.
I mean, it's
okay.
both, but it's like Kelly wanted to watch it. She had heard of it, and she wanted to watch it, and she was like, yeah, there's people who say that it's not like a comedy, and some people who say it is. It very clearly is. There's a guy in it. He plays like a maintenance man, and show opens up, and she like is walking around the neighborhood or whatever, and you see this guy, and he's like fixing her mailbox, and he's like, oh, should have it wrapped up pretty soon, and he is working on the mailbox throughout the entire series, like installing a mailbox. Like, it's pretty fucking obvious that it's not for real. And then
I mean, is that played to be like a twist, or is that played for like jokes? Like, obviously
it's obviously a joke. Like, he's got like a table full of tools out. He's constantly it's not like they are constantly like acknowledging it either. He'll just be like in the background, like with an oil can, like oiling the door, and then he's got like a saw out or something. It's like he's and it's like there. It's like the whole mailbox is there. It's like it's very clearly like comedy, but it isn't like Wet Hot American Summer, where it's like slapstick, like jump off the back of a motorcycle and that kind of shit. But it's like,
or
it
like
kind of
talking can of peas or whatever, or beans.
Right. It kind of feels like if we were to do a show where it's like kind of like Wendy's or whatever, where it's like there's funny shit in it, and like kind of like abstract, like the mailbox, the guy's working on the mailbox for the whole time, but also there's like there is like a story to it, I guess, but it's pretty ridiculous. Like, I think she's like afraid of rain. It's like her big fear or something, and so the rain plays into it and stuff. But it might only be 6 episodes. I can't remember. It's 6 or 8 episodes, but
which was 8. I went to the Wikipedia to check on the guy. It says the character description for that guy is a friendly, simple-minded handyman who has been repairing Anna's mailbox for years.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's pretty good. It's played by the guy that. Oh, I don't think you guys have watched that, but he plays Ed Kemper in Mindhunter. It's like a creepy, accurate, like portrayal of the actual dude. It's really
Oh, that's right. His name is Buell.
Buell. Yeah.
Yeah, he's very like is it BTK? I don't know. He's very serial killer looking, yeah, in Mindhunter.
Yeah.
He's very creepy looking, yeah.
Yeah. And like, have you seen? Wait, so you've seen Mindhunter?
I don't think I finished it.
Oh, okay.
I don't really remember it, so I think I maybe watched like the first episode, possibly.
Okay.
That was it.
Cause yeah, if you watch actual like video of the guy that he plays, it's crazy how much he like looks like him, but also just like emulates him in his performance. They do that a lot with like the because they have like what's his name, like the Son of Sam on there too, and Charles Manson, and like they do some makeup work on the guy that plays Son of Sam for sure, but they pick people who are like good actors but also like look a lot like these serial killers. It's pretty weird. But yeah, if that's all you had, what did you think of High and Low?
Yeah, I was really bummed I didn't get to do that convo. I at this point saw it like 3 weeks ago, 2.5, 3 weeks
Right?
ago.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have to go into like specifics, like our main thing, but just like
I really liked it at first. Like I really, really liked it. I thought it was really cool. All the like blocking and very like play style, like the guys, or even like anime where they go like to the side and then be like doing this like anime pose,
we
holding
talked about
it.
that a lot. Yeah, I said it was like 12 Angry Men. That's what it reminded me a lot of.
That's what I was gonna say. And 12 Angry Men is a play. Like it is a play. It seems like a play. And I was like, oh, this is gonna be this is a really cool idea, and it seemed like really in like Kurosawa's wheelhouse of just like, this is going to be like a bottle episode, and the entire movie is going to take place in this room, and it's going to be this, oh, do I not?
Mm-hmm.
And then it cut, and it starts to do this. That was like maybe 45 minutes of the episode, the movie.
Yeah, roughly, yeah.
45-hour maybe. And I was like, oh, okay, this is interesting. And then it kind of turns into this like procedural cop style thing. And they're like tracking him down and stuff, and I was like, oh yeah, this is still really cool. The only part that kind of fell flat for me was like the end part where they're like tailing him and stuff.
That's exactly what I said.
Oh really? Yep. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay, yeah, this is like cool, but also like we don't like it almost felt like it was real time. Like it was like we don't need all of it. Just just give us the good stuff.
Could have trimmed a little bit off there.
I said that I thought there was still cool like moments within the tailing sequence, but like I did think that it went on a little long. I love that the establishing, which we didn't say in the episode, but that establishing shot of when they're in the club or whatever. It's like the mirror shot, and it just like tracks.
Yeah.
It's like the mirror on the ceiling, and it's just like slowly tracked. That was so cool.
No, there's awesome stuff in it. It's just like it seems like it was like 45 minutes, 30 minutes or something. It's like we don't need all of that.
Yeah.
And then the ending too was like I kind of liked it, but also it's like, yeah, I don't know. It was interesting. I guess I didn't expect it to end like that. Kind of a little like not ambivalent, but almost a little bit ambivalent. Like almost like, I don't know. The true intentions aren't super revealed or whatever.
Do you mean ambiguous?
Ambiguous, yeah. Yeah,
Ambiguous,
sorry.
yeah.
What did I say?
Ambivalent.
Ambivalent, yeah. No, not that. Ambiguous, yeah.
Well, I think the whole the motive is that like he didn't really have a motive. His only motive was like envy, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's why it's ambivalent. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, ambivalent kind of works too.
Sure.
maybe, yeah. But yeah, no, I think I probably would give it like a 8.5.
Oh, okay. Yeah. See, yeah, that was pretty cool. We both did 9s.
Yeah.
So
Charlie or James did an 8.5 or something like that.
James did 8.5, Charlie was like 8.7. So we were all like right in the same range.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was kind of like, I'm kind of borderline. I think, yeah. I didn't really think of a number until like right now. 8.5, 9, something like that. Probably 8.5 though. I'm comparing it to his other stuff though that I really like. So it's like,
Yeah.
That's what they were saying too, and I was like, I'm trying to just watch I'm trying to rate this as its own thing, because I'm like, yeah, if I compare it next to Seven Samurai, I'm like, no.
Yeah, or Akiru, or yeah.
Nah. I agree, like pretty much with everything you said, but I mean, yeah, and we ended up like pretty close to the same thing, but yeah, god damn, like just the opening scene is definitely like the most standout. The opening, like, you know, scenes, I guess, in the apartment are definitely the most standout. But like, holy fucking shit! Like the blocking in that movie is just insane. Like, just fucking crazy.
And the fact that it's very, it's play like in the sense that like it seems like as if they did a stage production of it and they filmed it, because it was you know, there was long scenes of like a few minutes where everybody has to be like on point.
Yeah.
You get to your spot, do your little anime pose, and then like, you know, make sure you don't miss your cue.
That's why, like, as much like praise as I can give that, and like it might have the most like thoughtful, I don't know how to put it, how to differentiate it, but like you take all that cool blocking and framing, and then you're like, yeah, but do it with like literally like 40 people at once, and that's Seven Samurai.
Yeah.
Like 40 plus, really.
Jesus.
Right.
Just a shitload of people, and it's still like just the whole composition is still just like just solid. Yep. He's the GOAT. Well, cool. I did think too when we were rating it. I did say, you know, if I did decimals, it would have been like an 8.8 or something like that. But I was trying to do solid. But I actually was thinking of with Phantasm, because after that I was like I should just do decimal points again. Fuck it. Fuck Moose. I'm gonna go back to decimals.
Yeah.
But then with Phantasm, I was like, okay, yeah, no, 6.
That's a 6.
Like I didn't need like a decimal point for that. But I think I am gonna switch back to decimal points in the future.
Yeah, there's
we're
a
calling you
window,
out,
like,
Moose. Get back on the show.
Yeah, really? Yeah, you
Come
lost
defend
any
your honor.
influence.
We're
Yeah.
not scared of the specter of that is Moose, so we're gonna do decimals again.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Next week is another normal movie. I don't know. I had to think about it. Yeah, just last week we did our done. So, let's see what we got. Next week's movie. Ooh, is we're staying in the horror realm, with Audition from 1999, directed by Takashi Miike.
Ooh.
So,
I know some things about this movie.
Yeah.
I know some things that I think are very uncomfortable about this movie.
I saw the letters and I was like, Amadeus? No.
Oh shit. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. All right. That'll be an interesting one. I've seen it once. It's been a while. Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. This is
Yay.
weird. Okay. So there you go. If you don't want to be spoiled for Audition, watch it before next week.
Another Tubi.
Another Tubi.
Oh.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Go.
Shout out Tubi again.
Shout out Tubi.
fucking owns.
Yep. So watch that before next week if you don't want to be spoiled. Our episodes come out every Wednesday at 7 p.m. EST in podcast form on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and more, as well as in video form on YouTube and the other one, Twitch. We also have socials, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, where kind of posts updates, mostly just post pictures or clips from the episodes or whatever, but give those a follow if you like. Rate, review the thing on at least on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, because that helps.
That'll convince them.
I'm your fuck, I wish I didn't have to go first all the time. But then again, to get a consistency. I'm your fuck it, what's his last name? I'm your Mike getting the good graveyard smash, and then getting a graveyard slash to the throat, or whatever. I don't know. With me, J-Spot, with me as always.
I am your boy, Nick, aka Dr. Funk on Twitch, and with me as always.
That was a lot better.
I'm your Paul Rudd, graveyard dirt bike jumping Travis, aka the Super General.
That's what I should have done. All right. Bye.
Boy.
Bye, boy.
Boy,
Nice.
bye.